he will invoke the Insurrection Act. I think we just need to be clear about it and stop pretending and acting like, oh, that's a possibility. And he wants what's happening in the great state of Minnesota right now to be the test case and the ground zero for that action. I just want to, though, help people understand what we're talking about. We're talking about when this is invoked, the deployment of active duty military domestically. That means the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, however he wants to use them. Overriding, and this is important, overriding a governor's objection to that action, because he will state that the governor is basically acting against the interests of the American people, and therefore that has no sway with the president. Federalizing the National Guard and making sure that that reinforces his efforts on the ground. What the president cannot do, Congresswoman, as you know, he cannot legally suspend the Constitution, he cannot cancel elections, and he cannot override Congress. And why is that important? I would submit to you, ma'am, that the Congress has already overridden itself. And that's the frustration I know you have as you serve in a chamber with Mike Johnson as the speaker, that let all of this happen with little more than a peep. How do you, in the face of this threat, respond to this president?
Well, Michael, we're living in extraordinary times, and we should all believe him when he says exactly what he is going to do. Take him at his word. You know, this is a state with 4 Democratic members of Congress and 4 Republican members of Congress. I have never served with a more spineless group of individuals in my entire life than the Republican Party. And remember, Tom Emmer is the number 3 Republican in the Republican Party. He is a congressman from the state of Minnesota. He has Trump's ears. He sees what is happening on the ground in Minnesota. My law enforcement officers believe that Trump and Noam's ICE are making Minnesota less safe. We are living in extraordinary times. These are not normal times in America. What's happening in Minnesota is coming to you. We cannot say that more strongly than what we are today.
Michael referenced your governor. The Insurrection Act has not been used without the consent of a state's governor for the past 60 years. Congresswoman, your governor, Tim Walz, he's reportedly attempted to contact Trump following the threat of the president using the Insurrection Act. Earlier today, you had Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, saying she did not believe that outreach was authentic or genuine. Do you know if the governor and the president have spoken? And do you think there is anything your governor can say that would actually change this president's mind?
Well, I think this is political retribution. And Tim Walz has, from day one of Renee Good's tragic killing, called for Minnesotans to peacefully protest, called for a complete investigation that includes local and state officials, as killings like this normally do here in Minnesota. I'm not sure if the president will respond to Tim Walz, to any Democrat, but I know he would respond to Republicans in the United States Congress. And so where are they calling for Minnesota to be more safe and ICE to leave Minnesota? They need to leave Minnesota now. They, every single day, they are trying to ratchet things up on the streets. They want a riot. They want this to go sideways. And every single Republican in office in Minnesota should stand with me and call for ICE to stand down in Minnesota. That's what would make us more safe.
You know what, Congresswoman, it strikes me that it's not a coincidence, and it is not by happenstance that ICE is comporting itself in the way that it is, as a large organization acting quite recklessly, given what Republicans in Congress did to shore up their coffers just last year. You know, in that one big beautiful bill, Republicans infused over $170 billion into ICE, making it the largest law enforcement agency in the country, larger than the FBI. And they did so by cutting money to Medicaid and SNAP. And so to me, I think that your Republican colleagues, perhaps we're not hearing from them because they made a choice already, which is saddening, sickening. It's concerning to me as an American, but they had an opportunity to speak up a year ago And they didn't speak up then. They've had an opportunity to speak up when we saw what this force was doing in Chicago, right here in Washington, D.C., in Los Angeles. They said nothing. I am not shocked that they have yet to speak up in Minnesota, and I am concerned that the government and Republicans within our government have chosen force over the health care of the American people.
Well, just as you said, the big, beautiful bill contained an extraordinary amount of funding for Homeland Security and ICE. And make no mistake about it, the people that ICE has hired, they are not well trained. They are not using the same standards that our local law enforcement in Minnesota use. And remember, Minnesota, we've been through hell. You know, the last 5 years in Minnesota have just been devastating, from the killing of George Floyd. Our local law enforcement have worked really hard to gain the trust of the community again. They've worked really hard to improve their standards. And just think about this, Simone. 600 peace officers serve in Minneapolis, the largest city in the state of Minnesota. ICE has 3,000 agents in Minnesota right now. Just yesterday, they took a pastor who was serving at a local food shelf. And my office, we're trying to help find him right now. I mean, it's just extraordinary times. They, 2 nights ago, took a special education teacher and detained her for 12 hours as she pulled up into the parking lot of her school. Americans, we need you with us. We've got to fight this administration. That's why I introduced articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. 27 of my colleagues in the U.S. Congress flew to Minnesota today. We're going to do what's called a shadow field hearing in Minnesota tomorrow, where local state officials will come and testify in front of us. If Republicans won't do their job of oversight for the American people, Democrats will, and that's exactly what we'll do tomorrow morning.